and let us know the kind of founders you'd like to connect with. And we could make things happen for you over the next 1 month. You could let us know what kind of venues, what kind of founders, if you need any help from us, and any other message where we could help you with. We work closely with the innovation-led startup ecosystem. In fact, tomorrow I'll be at IT Madras Research Park. There are quite a few companies wanting to connect with the deep tech ecosystem out there. The space companies, e-plane companies. There's a VC called Bicelio. So we do make things happen for you. And many of the founders do tell us that when they have meetings, they want a couple of insights and a couple of connects. So we will also prep you up before the meeting that happens. Over to you, Madan. Thank you.
Great, thanks. So as you can guess by now, what we at MXR.world do is we connect entrepreneurs, innovators from different parts of the spectrum. So this is Bangalore. Bangalore is the home of some of the largest IT firms on the planet. It is the home of many GCCs around the world and a very active startup ecosystem also. So we happen to be today meeting in KDM. This is the nerve center of the Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. We're in the boardroom now. And one of the goals is to spread the digital economy and entrepreneurship across the state. Also, I'm going to be having a speaker from NASSCOM joining us soon. They also work with connecting startups to corporates to see how the latest technologies can be implemented by some of the larger firms from around the world and based in India. And we also have, this is Bangalore again, we have a lot of venture capital companies here, and I'm very happy that we have Suri here from Idea Spring Capital. They're very active in incubating and accumulating and accelerating startups and connecting some of these startups to the corporates in the Indian business ecosystem as well. So we're going to begin with a few startup pitches, but first of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us in this hybrid mode, despite a few tech glitches here and there. So here's the flow for the event. We're going to begin with a couple of startup pitches. Then we're going to hear from NASSCOM and Idea Spring Capital on what's happening with the deep tech startup ecosystem in India, what's happening with GenAI and these other kinds of tech trends in general, and what this means for small companies, large companies, and so on. Then we have our panel discussion with enterprise knowledge leaders. We've got 7 outstanding speakers. Some of them just introduced themselves right now. Speakers joining us afterwards. So these are 7 experts from the enterprise knowledge and learning ecosystem who will tell us about what they're doing to promote knowledge, technology, and culture of learning in their organizations. So let's get started, I guess, with the startup pitches. Manasvi, can we start with the first pitch?
Yes.
Yeah. So while we get your slides up, maybe you can start telling us who you are.
Sure. Could I stand up, or is it fine that I
sit anyway? There's a mic that's going online. There's other people on scene.
through here?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everyone. My name is Himanshu Saxena, and I'm the co-founder and CEO at Moss AI. So I'm going to start my presentation with a basic question. When you go to a hospital or when you go to a checkup to your doctor, and you go to speak to him and you tell him about your symptoms, do you ever observe that he's not just looking at you, but he's typing something on the computer? He's always, engaged in looking at the PC or a system rather than looking at you and not focusing on what your health is. So we are solving that problem. We are an AI and LLM powered regional language voice assistant, and we are trying to solve the problem of clinician burnout. And we see, and we have been working since last 1 year or so with our advisors and mentors to observe that a doctor or a clinician has a lot of administrative and clerical work to do apart from just looking at the patient. And when he does that, can you just go to the slides where there is the problem statement? So we see that in the market where doctors are primarily working in English, there's not a lot of issues where they have to type in English, and it can be done very easily because they get used to typing in English. But in India specifically, there are a lot of languages and dialects spoken. So we are a regional language voice assistant where we also focus on the language barrier that a doctor or a healthcare worker focuses on. Can you go to the next slide? Yes. Yes, so we see that the administrative work is humongous, right?
One second. Are you guys able to see this? Those of you who are on Zoom.
No, I can see an Outlook mailbox open here.
No, there's an Outlook mailbox. We can't see the slides. Yeah, one sec.
You have to select the application window, the first one.
Yeah, can you see the slides now? Yeah. Go back to the first one. Is it the first slide?
Yeah, the first slide is basically telling you about what we work into. You can go to the problem statement.
Yeah, sure.
Can you move to the next slide? Yes. Also, we see that a lot of communication between healthcare workers is verbal, and a lot of information is missed out when they do verbal communication between junior doctor and senior doctor, between patients and nurses, between ward boys and nurses. So we are also there to solve this issue where documentation is one of the key problems. Can you go to the next slide? So how does it work? So basically what we do is for clinicians, we basically record unstructured conversations happening in multiple languages, and we split it into a structured data where we convert the conversation into a transcripted version using an AI, a speech to text model. And then from that speech to text converted transcription, we derive the clinical notes for healthcare workers. That includes four things, primarily the patient's chief complaints, patient's history, patient's allergies, and the differential diagnosis that is provided by the doctor. We also provide a segment where they can add in medications, prescriptions, dosage duration. Also, they can include radiology, pathology reports then and there in the utility that we have created. We have also figured out one more use case, which is sort of for not for doctors. There are also a lot of Ayush practitioners in India. There are a lot of CHOs as well who are not qualified as a doctor, but they still provide clinical services. So what we do for them is basically we record what we hypothesize is with them is that they are not someone who is friendly with English. So we ask them to do their work in their regional language. It can be Marathi, Telugu, Tamil, whatever. And from that language, we are creating reports. One of the use cases which we are doing, if you can go to the next slide, it is for technicians, where we create dialysis reports based from the conversation, based from the audio that we hear from the technicians. Just a slide before this. One more. So they are able to create reports just by using their regional language. It can be any of those languages. They just have to read out numbers like blood pressure itna hai, hemoglobin itna hai, and so on. A lot of unstructured data. We convert that into structured data and provide that to the healthcare facility. What we are also trying to convert. So this is a utility tool for doctors. We understand that doctors might or might not be, behaviorally inclined to go to new technology. So we are trying to make it into a platform where we are also creating a knowledge management hub. A lot of times these pharmaceutical companies, bioscience companies, life sciences companies, they spend millions and millions of dollars into creating sort of a guideline. So for example, NHS has a guideline which doctors has to, Apollo Hospital has a guideline which doctors have to go through. So once they spend those millions of dollars into creation of those guidelines, they don't spend time basically how it will be consumed by the healthcare practitioner. So we are creating also through an iterative feedback with the doctors that we have, we are creating a knowledge management hub as well, wherein with the power of LLMs, the healthcare practitioner can sift through those guidelines very easily. They just have to query whatever question they have, and they can go through the guidelines very easily. So this is what we are working on. I think the market potential for this product is really huge, especially when you see healthcare. It is a very unstructured and fragmented market in India. There are almost 12.1 million clinicians across the globe. We are also trying to, look for pilot projects, paid opportunities where we can put this into use. We can easily integrate with EMR. We want to differentiate ourselves by not just calling ourselves an EMR service, but because it's a very cost-centric sort of view when you look at healthcare operations. So we are something that is sitting on top of EMR, but is helping the clinicians and reducing their administrative burden. So you can also go to the my team slide. We are just not engineers. We are also working with doctors and advisors who have worked into healthcare domain for almost 20-25 years. And we are looking to collaborate with companies who are, open to bringing digital transformation into their operations. So that's my pitch. Thank you, everyone here. Thanks a lot.
Great. So you're willing to work with hospitals also?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you have any connects with Manipal, those kind of folks?
And not with Manipal. We have been working with the other companies based out of Mumbai and Delhi. We are incubated at IIT Delhi itself and other accelerators as well under the Tide 2.0 scheme. So we are looking to collaborate with more healthcare providers, hospitals, chains of healthcare operations.
Okay, we'll give you some feedback after this, but once I can get the next one now. We have one more startup who's going to talk to us now, more about applications of deep tech in the automobile service sector, servicing different kinds of companies. After this, I'm going to ask Navratan to say a few words about how accelerators like NASCOM also work with these startups. So let's go to
online.
Yeah, he's online. Yeah, so who's the founder? So after this, we hear from Navratan. Navratan Kataria is the Director for Innovation, Entrepreneurship, IoT, and AI at the NASCOM Center of Excellence, right here in this building, a floor above us. Can you tell us a bit more about how NASCOM helps bridge the gap between startups and larger firms? So today we've been hearing about startups for this segment. We're going to hear more about how larger companies leverage AI and what they can do with startups after this. So can we go to the motor side in any case?
Yeah, he's already.
Yeah, okay, so go ahead. What's the founder's name? What's the founder's name?
What did you say?
Okay, the founder of Moto. Are you there online? I think we can see you. Can you hear us?
Yeah, Karan Javadi. He's the
Yeah, Karan, can you go ahead? Put on your headset and yeah. Karan, you got 4 minutes.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you got 4 minutes. Can you hear us?
Yes,
Yeah,
it's
go ahead.
low, but it's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. I'm Karan Javli. I'm the CEO and founder of Motocross India. Basically, we are working on an asset-light business model, and we are aiming to become the largest local garage chain in India. So you can see the pitch deck's screen wherein I have posted some images of the garages which are converted into a smart garage. So now we are running a pilot run with 25 garages, and the only thing we are facing right now is the working capital. But then still we are able to achieve the goal as much as potential we have right now. Okay, so basically we have built a application for the garages wherein we supply spare parts through us. I mean, just like a mechanic can type a vehicle number and he can understand which make and submodel it is, and just by using a keyword like air filter, oil filter, he can see which part can fit in, and he can just put an order. And depending on the repeated orders, like let's say a customer is always loyal to that mechanic, so after 3 months, automatically we get a stock notification saying that this has to be put up in stock, so that before the customer comes to that mechanic, we stock up the spare parts there. So this is the model. Currently we are aiming to become the local. Okay, so the problem. Yeah, not a problem. I covered most of it. So currently the problem here is mechanics have trust. I mean, the customers have trust issues, and the mechanics are facing with a lot of issues with the spare part. Basically, एक screw होता है 10 रुपए का. वो 10 रुपए के लिए they spend around 10 days to procure that screw. So what happens here is we know which if let's say if I am a mechanic, if I'm using the application, so motocross will get to know that, okay, Karan has 100 customers, and out of those 100 bikes, there are 10 Activa, 10 Access, 10 Splendor, and all that data will be knowing it. So depending on that, we maintain only spare parts which can fit into those vehicles, and only we push those spare parts which can fit in there. So currently the market here is even though mechanics are not professionally trained, and even if the mechanic is not loyal towards the customer is loyal to the mechanic here. So we have built a supply chain wherein, like, we have a storage point wherein we store all the spares, and then we supply to the mechanic. And then comes is it is unorganized and non-standardized market. I mean, 90% of the mechanics are not at all professionally trained. They just work under somebody, and then they, without having a proper knowledge about it, they do that. And also non-standardized tools, like let's say there are certain particular magnet pullers and all, but they can remove whole, I mean, dismantle the whole vehicle with only one hathoda and chani. Chani and hathoda is enough to remove all the dismantle all the parts there. And also in BS6 model now, there is a new technology come up, like ECU, electronic control unit. Without scanning the vehicle, you cannot repair it. So now what we have done is we have reverse engineered it, and we have built a OBD scanner wherein you can just plug in, scan it through the motocross app, and the mechanic will get to know all the error codes, and he can repair only those parts, and then he can work on it. So again, in-house inventory management system is there, and we have a marketplace for mechanics as well as for the customers. And then communication gap. So most of the time, what happens? Sorry, can you go back?
Oh, running out of time. Can you 2 more minutes to go?
Yeah. So I'll just quickly cover the main problem. Can you go back? So the communication gap. So most of the customers, what they say is, agar kuch problem hua hai gaadi mein, they forget to tell all the problems. But with the SOP and proper job card system, what we have with that, mechanic can actually create a job card just by ticking the problems, and he gets a proper job card ready, and also he gets a SOP proper ready. And we are actually again building related to that is, we are coming up with videos and all the tutorials wherein if a mechanic is unable to repair it, he can just learn and he can do it. Yeah, next. So these are the own products like engine oils, paddock stands, certain products wherein we have in-house, we are getting it from a third-party vendor, white labeling it and selling it. So right now we have launched a brand called MXR. It's a brand owned by Motocross. So there are n number of parts in the two-wheeler industry which are non-branded but good in quality. So we are finding those products and then white labeling it and selling it. Yes. So our innovation here is, yeah, okay. And talking about the TAM and all, can you go back? Yeah. So talking about the TAM, so how did I get these figures? Is that these are the data which I took it from RTO database. So according to RTO, there are 220 million two-wheelers active, and out of them, why did I consider SAM as 8.9 billion? Is that 60% of the customer prefer to go to these local mechanics, okay, after 1 year or after 2 years. And out of this SAM, I'm considering 1% as my SOM, which is about 745 crore, which is that we are targeting as of now. Next. So talking about the target audience currently, see now in coming days, we have seen Ola and other companies which are doing into D2C. Okay. And also now Flipkart is selling Hero, Honda, Bajaj, and number of different manufacturers are selling on Flipkart and Amazon. So now where do I see myself in next 5 years is that in coming days, people would buy it online and go to a local trusted mechanic, which is, like licensed or branded by Motocross, wherein they find it on app and then they go there. So we have a target of every 2 kilometers, we have to put up a garage. This is what the target is. And the spare part which are used there, those will be purchased by Motocross. From Motocross. So now currently local mechanics are our customer, and the customer who own two-wheelers will be our secondary customers. Then the manufacturers would be our next customers in coming days. And also recently I spoke to one of the Swiggy managers. He told me that if you are giving a GST input, we would push all the two-wheeler riders to your garage. So that was another which we actually pushed. That is again a different audience what we have.
Yeah,
Then this is asset-light business model and AI-driven.
1 minute, correct. You got 1 minute left.
Okay. So now talking about the revenue model here. So we have currently we're not charging anything for the mechanics, and we'll not charge though. But in future we'll be charging a platform fee which is 100 rupees per month or something. And then coming to My Motocart. My Motocart is the e-commerce site. So we are aiming to have a different the inventory whatever we have, we'll be pushing it on our My Motocart site. It will be called as the largest e-commerce site for two-wheelers. And then we have a subscription model wherein annually we charge XYZ amount, and then we give N number of services to the customer, but the spare part has to be bought by us. Then we have this in-app purchases wherein the labor charge and
30 seconds left, please.
Yeah.
Move
Okay.
towards the end, yeah.
So now, yeah. Can you just go back? I just want to talk about the USP here. Yeah, so USP here is like currently the motocross is fully digitally working, and then we have our own supply chain and AI based inventory management system, and we have the main uniqueness is OBD scanners what we have. Then comes is the customer need here is like a customer wants a transparent service, one-step solution, fair pricing, and immediate repair. Wherein the traditional market here is it is unorganized, lack of quality check, lack of professionally trained, stock issues are there. Okay, if you go to a big showroom, there are dead stocks. There are about 20 to 25% dead stocks there. So now competitive advantage, what we have is, as we have AI based, we can the inventory and the CRM will be well managed here. And as it is asset light business model, we don't need to invest any more here. We just need to invest to expand. Yes. So these are the My TVS Garage Works. My TVS Garage Works are our competitors, but all they work on heavy asset, wherein we work on asset light model. We take existing garages, train them with new technology, and then convert them and supply them spare parts. So basically, we call ourselves as the largest local garage chain, but then we are the largest distributor of spare parts. So we can tie up with showrooms also. We can tie up with local garages also. There's no necessary that we have to tie up with local garage. Yes. And talking about the market size.
I'm almost out of time, Karan. You can maybe talk about the team and then
Yeah.
wrap.
Yeah. It's okay. So talking about the team, I'm 29 years old, and I have started this company 5 years ago. It was just a heavy asset model earlier. During COVID, we tilted to asset light business model. We were in Shark Tank India season 1, and then last year in the month of December, we got Elevate Karnataka grant of 1.8 million, that is 18 lakh rupees, and yeah, this is another part. And then I have a CTO who is experienced up to about 9 years now, and his expertise into AI ML. And I have a technical team and other supply chain team.
Thanks, Karan. So we just heard from two very interesting startups with different use cases of AI. One in the case of healthcare communication, and one in inventory management for the service sector, including platform management. Let's turn to Navratan now. As I mentioned, Navratan is the Director for Innovation, Entrepreneurship, IoT, and AI at the NASSCOM Center of Excellence right here. And then we'll hear from Suri. So Navratan, tell us a little bit about how you are driving the whole deep tech ecosystem in India and maybe connecting startups to some of the corporates, for example, those we have in the audience. Navratan, over to you.
You can hear me. I can go ahead. Okay, so we are on the third floor, so people who are physically in this building should go and visit there, even if you have 5 minutes. It's a place where we get every 5-day an international delegation, so you don't have to come from Rome to come here. All right. Since Madan is very well known, he wears a lot of hats, different type of hats, but media is his favorite. So I'll run like a three slides per minute kind of frames, okay, like a movie. So what I'll do is, this is what we do. We work in deep tech areas and B2B. And there are roughly 3,000 plus numbers. There are 750 incubators in the country. We differentiate in 2 ways. One is that we do not invest into any startup in the country, which means that I'm unbiased and will support in adoption to any startup in the deep tech in the country or through our bilateral programs with 10 countries from the other countries. And most of our partners are multinationals, which means that you don't really care where the startup sits. We, of course, try the startups from India, but if we do not get, we seek advice and support from the startup ecosystem from outside the country. Some of these logos you are aware, but AI and IoT, this is in our name. every year we add a new technology. But this is some slide which I wanted to show for briefly that why do startups get engaged with corporates? Start with internal idea generation. We have worked with few of our corporate multinationals which have said all my employees should think out of the box as if they are own a startup. So we worked for a whole year, a very large company with which has 150 factories world over, to initiate that out of box thinking, and they became project managers for their ideas. External idea where a startup comes and says this is what you can take from me. But what we love is the co-creation where we say startup and the corporate, the adopter and the solution provider both sit together on the table, magic can be created. And this is what we are trying to do. 80% of our time goes into that. But luckily, in 1 year, we had seen 50% more unique corporates which came on board to discuss and engage with the startup. That's a very good, healthy sign. Some of the programs that corporates do run, either they run collaborative programs or accelerators, or they have their own venture arms. Many of these logos are just examples. What we are is we have three parents: Ministry of Electronics and IT, Government of India. The secretary sits as a chairman of our governing board. The principal secretary is CS in Bangalore, or the state that we are in, and the industry. From these, we get guided by what could be done for the industry. And as I said, 500 industry use cases have been engaged. I think that's one of the largest numbers that we have done in the country. 80% of the time we think that unless these deep tech guys, and they really need a lot of handholding, if the first 5 projects are very crucial for their growth and sustainability. And the good thing is that on both sides of the table, the adopter and the solution provider, they're sort of engineers. They understand each other, how to how to fool each other. That's what known. So they work in really systematic way to approach the innovation. And we've seen a large number of, we worked in 9 different formats of different types of engagement with the startup and the corporates, starting from white labeling to taking them to the market together, or investing partially, major stakeholder, acquire, IP rights, royalty basis. So there are 9, and each of these startup engagements work differently with a single entity itself. We work, as I said, out of those 3,000, we are now connected to 2,500 in the country. And of course, we are always catching the new ones which are born every day. But what we are doing is, as I said, we do connect and bring to the corporates the best which we have in India. And that's why we get engaged with these 2,500. We will sort of silently do a sort of due diligence. Because lots of startups have very good solutions, but they usually are unable to present it well, and vice versa. So while we are engaging with them on a regular basis, we know who have the capabilities, and these capabilities are very important. And whether you're dealing with middle tier or very mature guys, they have plus and minuses of this. So these green ones are our incubators. Our incubators are early stage guys, so they are not always successful in terms of getting the mature solutions to the corporates. Every year we add a new technology. Like last year we added meta tech, and every year we add a new sector, because we have to also learn what the sector requires. And like last year we added space tech, of course, before the moon satellite idea. We were born in 2016. You can see Priyank Kharge and Ravi Shankar Prasad. Every center of ours were inaugurated by these gentlemen. Some of our startups have reached the eyeballs of most of these VVIPs. I won't be able to say a lot of use cases which we've done for the corporates. And I'll tell you the reason. 80% of them are confidential, which means that the reason why you're doing innovation is because you don't want to give your competitors a head-on that I'm trying to do, get into the market with this innovation. You will want to keep our mouths sealed. So our mouths are sealed. I can only present to you what is publicly available. But as I said, 80% of them are confidential. We worked with medical, we worked with defense, we worked with manufacturing industries. A lot of visitors come here of different nature. As I said, 5.23 days is the average. We have an international delegation. And the reason why they come to India is we are the third largest ecosystem in the world. And nobody can now ignore the Indian ecosystem. We get a lot of ambassadors. Now they're selling not only IT, but the innovation from the country as well. Many of the corporate are also selling to the government. So the government bureaucrats have to also be explained what could be given in the governance part from the startup world. So we do a lot of workshops along with KDM and others, where different levels of political parties, bureaucracies, and industry associations. So the bottom long is 22 states represented by very senior IES, sitting for 2.5, 3 hours to learn what startups can offer to them. So a few examples, as I said, in health tech, we've done with the hospitals, we've done with cancer detections, for eye detections, for problems in the maternity areas. Post-COVID, we had a lot of people who had lung issues, but they wouldn't go to the hospital unless it becomes too bad, right? So could we screen a whole village, 500 people, by very low cost spirometer, which is as good as a district headquarter based hospital equipment? Can we do it at a very low cost and screen all of them, predicting if they have a lung issue? Post-COVID, this became very important. We did with the IMS and army hospital in Lucknow. So what we try to do is showcase that these are pilots that are done, and of course, if somebody likes it, they will continue doing it. This is with the BAFCOM that we are trying to capture the predictions of transformers failing, and we all suffer from power failures from unplanned and planned power failure. So this is something which we are trying to do, something in the fire clock or worker safety, which is common to all corporates manufacturing units. We've done problems in very logistics. Logistics post-COVID, we all know, became a very crucial area. And it runs across all industries, irrespective of which industry you are. We have done some very good work in those areas in logistics. In farming, though I must say there are not too many corporates in the country who do support, and farmers are not really capable of funding those kind of innovations. But on a cooperative basis, yes, things are happening, and some success stories. This is what we have done with the police department. You can see the gentleman here, Graha Mantriji, and we're done in 6, 7 states. We're done in what you saw in Ayurveda. India exports Ayurveda and yoga. We have worked in both of these areas. This is something which you can see on the third floor. This is the lower one, which you can see at the bottom, is basically a simulator. If you see how uh, uh, pilot is trained through a simulator before he flies a plane, this is the same type, and this can be used. This can be used for where the platform actually shakes and rolls. For even drivers, we all know how bad drivers we are all. So simulated conditions of drivers, training metro loco drivers, and now they were talking to a helicopter training. So we done for early detection of abnormalities in maternity in fetal cases. We've taken people to Taiwan. We take delegations of startups to the world. We also host a lot of startups from outside India. This is a fertilizer, which again you can see. This is a simulated training of gynecologists to do IVF training in hospitals and medical schools and IVF training institutes. A lot of these things, and this is quality control, which may be for potato, it can be for screws, it can be for anything. Today, India suffers from these quality issues because we do random testing, and out of 500 pieces, 3 pieces fail, and your export order gets cancelled, your LC goes off. And this is what we're trying to say. Can we do computer vision based monitoring of every part that you're shipping? Each of those 500 nuts or bolts or whatever you're selling. Can that be done by a machine, not by a tired eye of a human being? So this is very important for people who are into the game. This is a precision farming we've done in Haryana. A lot of drone based, of course, we know. So these are the different types of things that we do. And I must say that we cannot work on. But what we are doing is a mix and match. And the reason why we call deep tech, though the name is IoT and AI, because when we were inaugurated in 2016, Ravi Shankar said, IoT was fashionable. Next year, we added another center and AI was added. And then the minister said, look, you can't keep on changing your names, but you have to keep on adding one technology and one sector every year. And we all know that every technology takes at least 3, 4 years before it matures enough for a corporate to take decisions where and how to use it. So that's the reason why we have to initiate. And of course, NASCOM loves doing a lot of events. The purpose of doing events is to bring all these stakeholders like you to come and understand what is really working and what could be used by them internally or for their global markets. And with that, I think I should close. I hope I met your time target.
Fantastic, Navrata. That is a brilliant showcase of your work, and also for a corporate audience, we've showed how knowledge gaps and capability gaps in large companies can be filled by startups, and how NASSCOM can help bridge this knowledge gap between the innovative players and the corporates. We have another person who's bridging another very important gap, and that is capital. And now I want to invite Suri from IdeaSpring Capital to share a couple of thoughts on number one, the two startup pitches we just heard, maybe not formal comments. We can connect you afterwards to the founders for more detailed discussion, but some of your general impressions on what startups are doing today in deep tech, number one, and number two, what you're doing in this space as an investor, and how you connect maybe some of these startups to startups like the one we have in the audience to address their knowledge needs. So, Suri, over to you.
Hey, good evening, guys. And um, so I'll start with some inputs on the two pitches I heard. Okay. The first one actually in the healthcare space. Okay. I would say just voice may not work with doctors because at least in India, right? Doctors don't dictate everything. Okay, you can listen to the consultations, but like let's assume the medication they usually prescribe on the paper. So you may have to go multimodal to actually like take inputs from multiple ways and actually create these things. And I know that in the US, voice usually works well because they are used to that. Okay, there's a as you yourself mentioned, there has to be a behavior change. Okay, right for the human. I'm telling this also from my own experience in doing a healthcare startup way back in 2006. Okay, so it's a tough journey, but it's an interesting journey. Let me tell you that. Okay, yeah, and coming to the second startup, I feel you're trying to do too many things. Okay, like maybe you have to focus on like winning some of the some parts of it and then move to the other ones. Because it came across that you're trying to do everything for everyone. So that's very tough to do. So that's very high level. And maybe like I also thought I should just share my journey also so that you get an idea of like what I have done. So I started as an engineer in Wipro R&D, building compilers and networking software way back in 1990. So I'm quite old. Okay, and after that, next 15 years, I did 3 startups. The first one was in the networking space in 1999. There was no word startup those days. So we started a company and we built a networking solution for ISPs in the US and Europe. Got acquired in 5 years because we were at the right time and we were building the right solution. Okay, because broadband was actually like taking off and we built a solution to onboard customers. We helped our customers make more money, so they were very much willing to actually give us money. Okay, that's some learning actually. Like so, whenever you are doing a startup, try to do something or try to at least position it as something which helps your customers make revenues. Okay, so then it makes it easier to sell and easier to get money. Okay, that's one. And came back to India after that and did 2 more startups. One in the healthcare space. We are way too ahead of time. We were trying to actually build, I would say, what Ayushman Bharat is trying to do today in 2006. So there was pivots and all those things. Company is still run by my co-founder. I took a break, did some teaching at Visit, then co-founded an education startup called FunTooth. And in 2010, we were one of the first startups to use AI/ML to provide personalized learning software for learning maths and science. We sold to about 200 plus schools. We actually like there were a lot of suggestions telling that you have to actually build a solution for all the subjects. We said no, we will build something whatever we'll do only maths, but we'll do it very well. Okay, so that approach actually worked. We got acquired by Mbibe, and after that I was wondering what next, and that's when IdeaSpring Capital happened. So IdeaSpring Capital we launched in 2016. So we run this like a startup. Okay, because both the team members, we all are actually entrepreneurs. trying to help the next generation of entrepreneurs. So we actually say that like our journey has been engineer to entrepreneur to enabler. Okay, so investors are enablers for the startups, right? That's how we look at ourselves as. So 2016, we saw that most of the funding used to happen in B2C companies, and we kind of predicted that there are going to be a lot of B2B startups, and most of them will be first-time entrepreneurs. So we decided like how can we actually not only invest but also try to bring in our experience and help, right? So that's very much important. So we raised 120 crores, invested in 16 startups. We have got 5 exits so far. More than 5 companies are making 2 million a year. And now we are investing from our second fund. Second fund, we raised more money. So we basically invest in early stage B2B product innovation startups. So innovation is very important. Technology differentiation is very important for us because we are that kind of people. Like we come with the DNA, right? We are all engineers who build products. So that's very important for us. So 12 out of the 16 startups we invested from our first fund were pre-revenue. Okay. And sector agnostic, but B2B focused. Couple of, maybe I'll just take you through some of the companies. Just to get an idea about the kind of companies we have invested. So Level Networks is an SD-WAN startup company. We invested in them when they were pre-revenue. Today, they are one of the leading SD-WAN vendors in India. So they have got investment from Uvernest, they've got investment from Airtel. So they work very closely with Airtel. Okay, so that's one company. So, and we have invested in a company called Simio, which is really deep tech. So we don't call all our startups as deep tech. Some of them are hard tech, but some of them are really deep tech. Okay. So Simio is actually a company which simulates EMI, EMC issues in electronics, right? From design. Today, the other alternate method is to actually build a prototype and take it to the chamber to make measurements and all those things. That's why electronics hardware development takes more time. So we are trying to see how can we make it as agile as software development. Okay, so that's what they do. Founded by a professor from IISc. So like, and another deep tech startup we have invested is called Ahamune, which is actually a drug discovery startup. I would say there is a lot of innovation in life sciences, and all life sciences startups are mostly, we should call it them deep tech. It just needs research, right? So they actually are making a cream for vitiligo. Vitiligo is the disease which actually causes patches on the skin, right? Which doesn't have any drug till now. And they are actually working on it. They are in phase 2 trials. We invested when they were doing animal trials. So it's still pre-revenue. We know that, okay, these are the kind of things we are helping, right? So we invested in a company called Numosity, which was actually building a software for managing the EV infrastructure. They got acquired in 2 years by ABB Sweden. Okay. And second fund, we raised 265 crores, and we are investing from that fund. So we usually invest about 8 to 12 crores to start with, and set aside another 12 crores for the second round. So it's about 20 crores per startup is what we do. Again, the theme is same. Early stage B2B product innovation startups, they should have an MVP and some customer validation for sure. Okay. So pre-revenue is fine, but we need to know that, okay, there is tech differentiation and there's a big market, right? So that's what we try to.
Great. Yeah. Thanks, Suri. Suri, before you go, another question for you is, you were also in Wipro earlier, right? So can you tell us today, what is your assessment today of how are Indian and other companies, what kind of appetite do they have for absorbing new ideas, new innovations, new technologies, and so on? Since you do a lot of B2B investments, are corporates very interested in working with startups, and how can they improve their knowledge quotient by working with startups?
Yeah, see, there is actually a trend in the right direction, I would say. Okay. Again, see, if you go to product companies, right? So there is actually, I see more I would say, interest towards working with startups. That's what we have seen. Okay, let's assume like Mercedes-Benz works very closely with Simeo. Okay, so because this they want to actually, a lot of these companies, right, want to actually like do innovation. They know that some of the very core things they cannot do internally because they have become big, right? So they keep looking out for innovation outside and try to adapt, right? So that's how actually they can use it to maybe like improve their product portfolio and things like that, right? Or their internal development, things like that. When you go to a maybe a more of a services organizations like Wipro or Accenture, they have to actually, you have to be, I would say you should be at a growth stage. Early stage usually doesn't work very well for them because they take very big projects. You have to form a significant chunk of that, right? So that's at the same time, I don't blame them because they already have established credibility. They can't just take a very early stage company and actually put it in front of their customers. Okay, it won't work, right? So that's but there is, I would say, like now there are a lot of there is a lot of interest from corporates in working with startups and making their solution as part of their own portfolio, and actually like because people have realized that it's a different mindset. Innovation is different mindset because they're busy with what they're doing, right? So they need innovation to come from outside. So that way, actually, I think things are in the right direction. But you have to approach them at the right time, and when you're so basically like uh, uh, in Accenture has worked with some of our portfolio companies. Bosch has worked with some of our portfolio companies, and they've also invested in some of our portfolio companies. See, Bosch has invested in Simeo. As I told, we have like startups from IASC, so academia, industry, everybody is coming together to help you guys. So I would say entire ecosystem itself. Like you see, like when I did my first startup, we had to go to US for everything, for customers, for actually like getting funding, everything. Whereas right now there is uh, good chances of actually getting all these things done in India and sell to the world sitting here also. Okay, depending on what kind of startup or what kind of product you are building, right? If it is enterprise, you have to have presence in the US or outside. Otherwise, like SaaS, like people are able to sell things from here. So things are in good direction, I would say.
Thanks.
And
Thanks, Susan. That's a go on, finish. Yeah. You
so
yeah.
yeah. So I thought like some of the new trend, right? What the kind of things we are seeing. I thought maybe I should share that also, and the kind of investments we are doing now. Um, uh, in first fund, as I was saying, we are mostly doing, I would say, software, no hardware kind of startups. We were investing in them, but in the second fund, we actually are more diverse. We have invested in drone startups, VTOL kind of startups. We have invested in startups which are accelerating quantum computing, right? So things like that. Um, uh, and also like an IoT startup in the digital maritime industry, right? So we have actually diversified quite a bit, and there are a lot of new things which are coming up. We are seeing where it's multidisciplinary, right? So it's like, how do I use AI to actually discover an enzyme? Okay, like you see, like we have invested in a company called K-Cat Enzymatics, which has a software to discover enzymes to replace chemical processes in uh, pharma manufacturing by enzymatic process, right? So these are all climate related also, right? There's a lot of scope for climate tech startups. A lot of multidisciplinary in the sense that um, uh, uh, people are actually using multiple, I would say, like even if they KCAT, you need chemistry, you need molecular biology, you need protein engineering, so many different things, right? That kind of, so just like actually we had this growth of SaaS, right? So we are actually doing a lot of core engineering also now in India. So that's also another trend we are actually seeing. Um, like we're not announced it, but like we're looking at a startup which is doing a protein which is 500 times sweeter, and which can actually not only help the environment but also a lot of health related things, right? So there are a lot of startups which are actually trying to do really deep tech innovations out of India. We are very happy that like we are able to actually support them.
Thanks, Suri. Sounds like you got a very exciting job. I really like the fact that you're looking at new ideas.
I love my job.
Yeah, you're looking at what big companies are doing, how to connect the two, and how to make money out of all this and have a good time at the end of the day. Fantastic. Thanks so much, Suri, for joining us. What I will do afterwards is I'll connect you by email to the startups and to all the corporate speakers over here to see how they can learn from some of your use cases, some of your insights, and so on. So once again, thanks, Suri. Also I want to thank Navratna and the two founders. What's great to begin with when you talk about startups is to see what's possible, the art of the possible, how founders are pushing the limits of technology to new areas, new domains, and so on. Now we're going to switch gears and come into the corporate world and see the art of the possible in the corporate world. What are companies doing with knowledge advantages of their own? What are they doing to create a knowledge culture in the company? How are they using technology? How is AI complementing human intelligence to create augmented intelligence and so on? So we've got a whole bunch of speakers. Let me see. Nivedita, you had a hard stop, right? You want to go first? Can I ask you to come now?
Yeah, hi. Thank you. Can you hear me?
So let me introduce now our next speaker is Nivedita Gangai. She's the KM lead at a very interesting company called Dun Humby. You must explain to us the name of this company afterwards. She was earlier heading KM at various positions in KPMG, EY, and Deloitte. So she's a very experienced knowledge practitioner. And let's hear what she has to say now. Tell us a bit about your journey and some of your reactions to the conversation so far. Go on, Nivedita. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Before I go ahead, can you all hear me fine? Just give me a thumbs up. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Madan, first of all, for this opportunity. I'm so elated because I can see some of the very familiar faces. I have Vedsa here because I'm absolutely, hi Vedsa. And then I also have Ritu. I think I've worked with Ritu. I've directly reported to Ritu in KPMG actually. So that's a major nostalgia trip, and I'm so glad to be here. And I think I'm just to start off. I think I've spent close to 14 years in the knowledge management space, and I started my career here. And I think I am very fortunate. I consider myself absolutely fortunate to have that initial amazing experience working with people like Stan Garfield, who are actually like a celebrity right now in the field. And I very early on, I remember when I joined Deloitte, it was one of my initial projects to work with him. So I'm absolutely blessed to have that level of exposure at different parts of my career, and I have worked with amazing people who have truly inspired me. So I think that's a culmination of what I am right now as a professional. So a little bit about myself. I am working with currently I'm working as a knowledge management lead at Dunhamby, and it is actually a customer data science firm which is based out of UK. We are actually pioneer, and it's actually a sister concern of Tesco, and we are doing amazing work, and we are actually one of the pioneers in this space, and we are one of the world leaders in this space. So yeah, we have a product led growth approach, and we our key customers are retailers, CPGs, and this is actually a major gear shift that I have come, because I come from a consulting KM background. I started my career with Deloitte, and then I moved to EY, and then I moved to KPMG, and before this is my first. So 5 years back, this was my first product, step into the knowledge management, into the product realm, and I couldn't be more thankful, and I think that has been incredible. So just to give a quick start, I would just talk about how knowledge management has helped me create some of the key highlights of my career. So I think listening to everybody here, it was just a major eye-opening moment, and there's so much going on in this space. And I think corporates can learn so much. I think all of us can learn so much from each other. And one of the key highlights, I think, and I'm sure everybody would agree, that one of the key challenges that any knowledge management professional faces is capturing tacit knowledge. And I'm very happy that I have been leading a couple of, I have led quite a few projects and quite a few initiatives that have actually been focused on capturing that tacit knowledge, and we have been able to create thriving community of practices through workshops, mentorship programs, and we have actually been able to solidify that tacit knowledge and repurpose it to corporate gain. So that has been one. And of course, we have also been able to, with the improvement of technology, I think we have been able to use the power of crowdsourcing in creating knowledge, so that everybody from day one feels accountable and feels a part of the solution and feels more involved, because it is very easily to get off-sighted in the great grander scheme of things when you're in a corporate, which is like an 8,000 or 10,000 employee company. It is very important for us to make everybody feel valued and their contributions feel valued. So crowdsourcing for knowledge in the form of forums, wikis, discussion boards has been a game changer. I have also, I think my expertise lies in collaboration, communities of practice, and centers of excellence, and that is what I'm absolutely passionate about. And I have been able to leverage that because I led the enterprise social collaboration for EY in form of Yammer and for KPMG in form of Oracle Social Network, and that has been an eye-opening. That was basically I used to call it Facebook of corporate because everybody used to get in, post, like, comment, share, and acknowledge, and it just brought everybody together in just one space, and that was incredible because up until now we did not even know there was somebody sitting in maybe US who shares the same passion that I do. And with a platform like so, I could just approach him with the click of a button. So that was again something which I am absolutely proud to be associated with and having led a lot of programs around it. And then of course my absolute key achievement, really, especially after joining the product space and knowledge management, has been driving multi-million projects and driving and leading knowledge for these projects. So currently, I'm working on a project which actually we are actually creating a high impact product portfolios with the existing products and services that we have. And this project is worth over 25 million, and I'm leading knowledge management for this project. And knowledge management has been incredibly monumental, and everybody, including especially our chief technical officer, has been so supportive, and he has been really excited about having knowledge on board with them, because what we did was actually make things easier for everybody, for our data scientists, for our engineers, for our product managers, for our designers. We just made everything simple for them to contribute, to create resource, to share resource, and most importantly to find the right information at the right time, because that is what we struggle with, right? So that has been one. And then of course, apart from that, we have also been working on creating a comprehensive go-to-market material solution that creates like a one-stop shop for all the sales, marketing, and product teams, for them to come in and search all the go-to-market materials, whether it is, say, product analysis or comp intelligence or case studies. So we have been able to successfully create a solution which is not just a repository, but also a single source of truth for everything that you need around go-to-market materials. So that has been some of the key achievements and highlights of my career. And emerging trends, I know there are many, but I'll just talk about something that I have used and found very useful over and over again, and that is precisely the AI-powered KM systems, particularly bots and virtual agents, virtual assistants. And we have done a lot. So it started when I was in with very simple day-to-day task automation back when I was in EY, which what that bot used to do was kind of do the ease of the asset life cycle management. So if you're, whether it is creating a web page, the initial draft, or if you're approaching a limit, or you're reaching the deadline or a retirement date for a page, it will just trigger a reminder. So starting from something as simple as that to now scaling it up to creating a full-fledged FAQ automation solution into my current companies, I think there has been a massive change in how we use bot and how we have learned to use bot to our advantage. And now I think now we have a lot of bot that cuts across different platforms, but we have been able to figure out how to use different solutions. So for example, I'll give you my example. Danhambi, we have Microsoft, we also have ServiceNow, and we also have Oracle. So we have been able to identify how we can actually use the Oracle assisted bots for the Oracle based solution, as well as the ServiceNow bot for the Microsoft and ServiceNow solutions, and kind of integrate them to create a cohesive common experience for the end users. So I think that has been a massive win, and that has been very well received. And we have been able to successfully not just ease the task of users. Now for the initial point of contact for them is not actually a service agent or a person sitting on the service desk. It's actually our bot. They'll raise a request, whether it is applying for leave, whether it is raising incident, whether it is leave approval, password reset, task allocation as well. So even if there is a huge project, we have also created automated bot that if you are working on a new project, you're a project manager, you need tasks to be allocated. So all the day-to-day admin related tasks can be auto-updated using those bots. So I think that is something that we have tremendously used and leveraged across the years. And I'm absolutely proud to be associated with most of the projects. So just to give you a fair idea of how bot, especially in Dunnhumby's context, when we came in, and I don't think I should disclose, but I think I will. So when we came in, the NPS score we done a first check of the bot that we were using then, which was not really talked about. The engagement rates were very low, and the first NPS score was -60. And now we just did it last month, and the NPS score has gone up within a year to +32. So that has been the kind of impact, thank you, that we have created with our services and our portfolios. We have integrated. We have also used automation for our search optimization. So what we have done is kind of created like a Google for within our firm, wherein no matter what platform the content is sitting on, you just go do a search and it will give you all the search results on different platforms in one place. So all of these automations, I think they have really eased the life of our sales, marketing, product teams, and yeah, they are thankful. I hope so. So yeah, so that has been there, and that has driven major impact, two major impact: NPS score, cross-platform solution, and of course the search solution has in turn helped us create go-to-market material at a very fast pace, and the time has almost become half of what it used to be initially, at least in the past four years. So yeah, that's about it. And just to end, I think there's one quote that I read and it really sat with me. And if you're somebody who's starting your career in knowledge management, this is where I leave you. So if you have to just pick one word out of everything that I just said, is if you are somebody who's in a position to drive knowledge management, you'll have to be persistent. Because let's be honest, knowledge management is something that everybody now appreciates, and I'm very happy because I've seen the kind of mindset shift from in the past 14 years, and I'm really happy where we are as a space. But still, I think when it comes to investing in knowledge management, it still takes a back seat because this is still not our primary our poster child. So what we have to shift is basically everybody sees knowledge as a cost center, but what I have meticulously worked throughout my career is having that mindset shift from it being a cost center to a revenue support center. Because we have done, and I'll give you a recent example, we have done cost saving projects which have directly saved around 3 million just straight away from one project. And so we have not just contributed on our revenue, we have not just eased work for our sales team, but we have also directly supported the bottom line of the company by saving them tremendous amounts in just one quarter. So yeah, that would be my 2 cents. And this is one thing I really I find it funny. It says knowledge management is like travel insurance. You don't realize you need it until it's too late. So yeah, I think before the companies go there and they come running to you that I want this yesterday, I think you should be the pioneer, step into those shoes and drive it forward, and just be persistent. So that was me.
Very nice.
So
That was almost a mini masterclass on KM. Fantastic. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much
so
on
much.
the foundations, and I loved all those impact stories also. All this sounds
Thank
nice, but until you show that it moves the needle, then people won't sit up and say, aha, I need to invest in this stuff. So I think we're not for the rest of the discussion. We may come back to you afterwards with a couple of quick questions, but if you're
Yes,
not, that'd
absolutely.
be great. Fantastic. Let's go to the next speaker now. Abhishek Kumar is the lead knowledge manager at NTT Global Networks, earlier the global knowledge manager at TCS, and before that at Unisys and Infosys. So let's hear now from Abhishek. Abhishek, over to you. Tell us a bit more about your game journey and stuff like that. Go on.
Hi everyone. Hi Madan. Thanks for inviting me here. So about me, I worked in Infosys and I joined as a technical writer. I was writing a lot of documents and then I did my MBA full-time course because after working for 2-3 years, you get this feeling that you should upscale your skills. So I appeared for MBA and did MBA for 2 years, and then I came back in Unisys. I worked there in support industry for some time, and then became a knowledge manager, and then moved to TCS. I was there for good 4 years. I was taking care a lot of projects. So I would say I'm a KCS expert. So nothing to offend any knowledge managers here, but I feel KCS is the newest form of knowledge management, and the knowledge management which we talk about is the traditional form. So we have done KCS in a lot of projects, and I'm talking about the support industry, which is worth 750 billions. And what exactly we do in cases is we work on all the, like, we don't have any technical writers. We don't have any person or any SME who is drafting the articles for the support staff. We make everyone to draft articles. We encourage everyone to, create articles, and we come up with tons of articles. I mean, in one of my projects, we created close to 17,000 articles in 3 months. So, and I believe that that's a lot. And if I talk about Gen AI in knowledge management, people feel that it is going to replace knowledge management, but I don't think that's going to happen, because the base of Gen AI is the knowledge which is created by us, which is created by the support staff. If you talk about the articles or the vendor articles or the tickets which we have created in past, so the base is, I mean, I recently we have worked on a tool. I would not disclose the name of the tool because of obvious reasons. So we have worked on a tool which is integrated with Chat GPT, and the input which we need to provide is the articles which we have created in past. So basically, there's nothing automation. There's nothing automated into it. We are doing the manual work. We are taking the articles, uploading into the server, the ChatGPT server, which we have bought from the ChatGPT folks, and then we are getting the results. And the results are not that accurate. So we have worked on a tool called OneSearch as well. So and then before that, Covio. So Covio was not that effective in the support industry, but OneSearch is pretty good. So OneSearch, what it does is based on the short description of any ticket, it gives you the list of articles, the knowledge artifacts, then the vendor KBs, if there is any known issue in the vendor's website. So that happens through the help of APIs. But if I talk about Gen AI in knowledge management, I think for self-service portal, the best tool would be Now Assist. So Now Assist comes with ServiceNow, and it is more like a chatbot wherein you input your issue, and then it gives you the knowledge artifacts, and then it creates a ticket for the user. So Gen AI, I would say, it has the future. I mean, still we are not matured with that. So it's going to take a lot of time, but till then, KCS is going to be there, knowledge management is going to be there, and I'm really happy, as the previous speaker, she rightly mentioned that earlier no one used to talk about knowledge management. I mean, I had such instances where I used to tell them that I'm working as a knowledge manager, and people would be like, oh, what is that? This is the first time I've heard of a knowledge management specialist or knowledge manager. But people are now realizing, big companies like Accenture, EY, NTT, Infosys, TCS, now they're adopting knowledge management, and it's helping everyone. So yeah, that's about it from my side.
Fantastic, Abhishek. We'll come back with some questions afterwards. Just
Sure.
to note to Dr. Sumbi Tahir, she's the knowledge manager at WorkMotion. Earlier also was a professor, assistant professor at Jamia University. So it's great to have someone who's been both in the academic and industry areas of KM. So over to you now, Sumbi. Tell us about what you're doing with KM in your organization, AI and all that stuff. Go on.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. It was very nice to go through all the startups and see what's happening in the industry. And then, of course, hearing Nivedita, it was very nice because one resonates so much despite belonging to a startup and having a very much smaller scale, so to speak, than the corporates. But the problems appear to be very similar. And one understands when, one hears similar phrases which one is using. But let me begin with my own journey. So like so rightly pointed out, I was actually an academician, But before that, I joined a PSU right after college, and I realized that's the worst thing to do, having stability. So I found a way to come out of it. And then I made my way into academia, and I was working happily till I got married and had to shift from Delhi to Bangalore. And I don't know how much experience you have with academia, but Delhi and Bangalore are extremely different in terms of how teachers are treated. So after that, I had a very clear vision that I wanted to have more control of where my career was going, despite having limitations. So I became a freelancer. And I was doing content writing as well as consulting. And the consulting started picking up. And this is how I started work with Workmotion, which was at that moment absolutely growing at an insane pace. This was COVID times, and there was a lot of demand across the world. So we were not able to keep up with the growth. But it was a company where knowledge management did not come later. In fact, we realized that this is going to be something which we will need a lot going into the future. And we started right as the company was growing. So that was one of our advantages, I would say, right from 2021, that we focused on the tools that we were using and how we were going to make them work for us. Workmotion is a German startup, which is in the employer of record. What they do is they are a remote company helping European employers find skilled workforce across the world. So we are present in 160 countries directly as with our own entities or through partners. And the idea is that well, a German employer, somebody based in, say, Western European nations, are finding it much more difficult to find the kind of talent they need. At the same time, there's a lot of demand from, I won't even say Gen Z, I would say people even from my generation who are ready to compromise on many other things if it comes with a remote working job. So with this kind of a demand, they're doing very well, but they're still a startup. They've raised a lot of funding, 2 rounds, but we are still a startup. So why I say a startup is because the level of growth and the level of learning is like the opposite end of what happens in a PSU and Jamia Millia Islami also. I will put them in the same scale where things are very stable and you will learn and you will not know. Over here, the learning is extremely fast. You're changing tools. You're constantly asking yourself, is this working? If not working, the decision to change is pretty quick. So you have to absolutely be on your toes. I started as a content writer, but within 3 months, I actually evolved into the knowledge manager. And when I started, the first thing I started was with a knowledge strategy, because we needed to know where we are going, what we want to do, and then we will be able to work around all the host of tools that we use, being a remote company with 250 employees that we had at that moment in at least 30 countries. We were all working in different time zones and different cultures, but similar, tools that we were using. Now, you can imagine a company trying to hire on behalf of clients coming from a number of countries in 160 countries. What does that entail? You need to be a master in the compliance and labor code for all these countries, because this is exactly what you are selling. At the same time, you're also a SaaS company that you have a product which you are selling, which we were very strong in. So our limitations were that we needed to make sure that the knowledge which we were creating all the time, that was being captured, that was being documented, and that was being updated regularly. So the first knowledge strategy, which I started in 2022, sort of announced that there is a knowledge manager and what she is going to be doing, because till then there was somebody, but even she was not clear what she was supposed to be doing. So got everyone's involvement in the entire company. Being the size that we are and being the complexity that we deal with, we cannot survive with only a department taking care of knowledge. We involve everyone. Our articles or our knowledge is actually created by everyone, which the speaker just before me mentioned. So knowledge is decentralized. That creates its own challenges, because obviously a person from customer experience is going to write very differently in a very different tone, and somebody from operations is going to have different concerns. Plus, there is complexity within the countries themselves because there is a certain labor code which is saying something, but the kind of entity we have offers something different. So the level of complexity and the level of scale is extremely large, while capacities are very limited. So that was what the first knowledge strategy started with, those problems. And it ended with the impact that we created was a help center, which captured the problems. It not only answered general questions for everyone, like where will I get my payslip, something as simple as that, or how do I raise a expense request for my talent, to things as small as what is the annual leave in this country and will I still get it when I'm on maternity. So this was a very difficult enterprise for us, trying to make things simple when they are so complex. And we achieved that. That was one of the impacts that we made. The second one was that capturing tacit knowledge was not the issue. Like I said, we had everyone creating knowledge. My trouble was that somebody who's creating knowledge, writing a simple, card saying, hey, this is the new change. Our partner does not support fixed term contracts in this country anymore. That has to reach all parts of the ecosystem, ending with the help center. And I have to educate my clients about it. I have to educate my internal stakeholders about it. So the level of change in the same language was also something which I had to make sure there was a process and it was followed. So this was the first win. This year, of course, we evolved, things became stable, things also became a little bit more difficult with the European recession. So we started somehow consolidating, and the new knowledge strategy is now coming to the second part, which again, which Nivedita mentioned, that it is not a cost center knowledge management. We are actually delivering value, but somehow the value is actually hidden, because how do you say that? For me, I'm not able to say this is the impact on NPS directly. I'm only able to say it indirectly. So from this year, what we are now doing is we are measuring what is the country knowledge health for what we are offering. How is the direct impact on our SLA service level? How quickly is somebody able to answer a question posed by a client? How effectively are they able to do it? So we are now making things A, visible, and B, measurable. So this is the impact journey. Right now, I am trying to create my own Google. So you heard the complexity. My concern now is how do I in which tool do I invest so that all of those internal sources where I have the knowledge saved with all their caveats that yes, fixed term contracts can't be offered, but if you choose this partner, it may be offered, or if you perhaps change it this way, it may be done. All of this internal, complexities, the AI is able to capture it and explain it to the end user. So that is what we are now working towards. And hopefully we will be able to win without spending a lot of money on it, because that's how startups are. We are very cost conscious. We have to really justify whatever we are spending to the investors. Coming to, I would say, the trends, I would say yes, Gen AI, which I'm right now very much researching to find our own solutions. And what I've found is right now anything is possible. But for anything to be possible, you either have to be very big and you need to have a very big vision that this is something which will change the way you are doing things. And it is possible to do it. But this is not possibly always the answer. Like, again, someone said, knowledge management is not going to be replaced by Gen AI, because we will always need people to answer questions. We will always need people to sort of judge, okay, this is the answer, but how do I present it? Is it the right way to say it? Is there something which can be added? So I always need people. And this possibly for me is the trend, how we are able to tweak Gen AI and make it work for us, for our own needs. Lastly, I think there were some tips which we were supposed to say, and mine are very similar to what you have heard from now. I would say we are able to actually pay a lot of attention to knowledge creation. Like, there was a lot of thrust from me for documentation culture, that everyone has to document where you're getting information and how you're answering, how you're solving a case. But one thing which we usually miss, and which doesn't sound so interesting and attractive, is maintenance. When things change, what do you do? because I work in an industry where things are changing like all the time. Labor code, which sounds so stable, is something which changes so quickly. And how do I actually capture that change? Because if I'm not able to capture that change, all of that input, whether it's going to your AI or whether it's going to somebody's mailbox, that becomes absolutely useless. So maintenance, I would say, is as key as knowledge creation. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you.
Brilliant. Yeah, thanks, Sumbul, so much. We're going to have some more Q&A for you afterwards in the discussion. Let's not go a very different sector. I want to now ask Shri Prasad NK to speak. Shri Prasad is the Regional Knowledge Manager and CRM Leader for Asia Pacific and Middle East at Gensler. It's an architecture firm, very different from all the sectors we are in, but let's see what he has to say from his scale journey. Shri, over to you.
Thanks, Madan. So I think I'm equally intimidated and sort of happy to be in this space that all of you guys are. Some of them I've read a lot about, heard from. I also have one of my oldest colleagues and friend, Paras, is there. Paras, I was actually hoping to see you today, but then we'll catch up later. But so I do echo with a lot of thoughts that came from Nivedita, Abhishek. My journey has been quite interesting from in fact, like how we started, right? I started with Accenture way back in 2006, part of the KM team. I was probably 19th or 20th member to join the KM team in Accenture. I left Accenture in 2015 or 14, I believe. Sorry. But then I was there for close to 9 years, and then during that time frame, we actually grew from the 20-odd team to a 200+ member across Bangalore and Mumbai, and that sort of shows the someone actually mentioned that people do take time to realize how knowledge management as a principle or as a part of your organization is important for your growth. So I did see a lot of changes in terms of tools, technologies, how we use it, why we use it, and things like that. And from then on, after my movement from Accenture, I moved to Capgemini. I again was a part of KM team there for 5 years plus, and now with Gensler. So been with Gensler for 4.5 years approx. Though every time I talk about difference in a consulting firm versus something like Gensler, which is a hardcore architecture and design firm, people say that it's quite different in terms of what they do, and the expectation is also that, right, in terms of how you see things. But I think the hard reality that I've seen wherever that I've worked, wherever that I talk to people, is that KM in a lot of spaces still tries to find its space among people in terms of why is it important, why do we do that. A lot of times we really have to there's a lot of networking involved, there's a lot of collaboration involved, there's a lot of times where you have to build your community of people, let them know what we do, let them know why we do it, and let them know how is it important to have evolved KM setup for your smooth functioning of your organization, right, or part of your team. Now, one part of my job profile in Capgemini was also to lead a part of so-called delivery KM, as we used to call that, wherein we would go and implement knowledge management as a function in some of those engagements. So when I say engagements, those are account teams who work with client-based systems and solutions. And those would be probably 500 member teams wherein we go, and all they have are just pieces of information lying around with no proper way of tagging them, no way to maintain it, and they find it hard to figure out where things are. So it basically starts from identifying what is important, what is that they need, when was the last time they probably used something like that, and then trying to build a solution where everything is available for people to use, right? So you're making it accessible is one key thing when it comes to knowledge management as a function. So making sure that you have it available on whatever platform that you use, probably SharePoint or WordPress or whatever that we have been using all these years. Building the sites, knowledge repositories in a way that it's easy for people to use is one. The other thing which we always find it hard, and I'm sure most of the KMs do agree to it, is that it's hard to convince people to use it. The question of why do we use it is still something that we, like I said, keep getting asked. And even if we try to solve that problem, there's a lot of times where people come in and ask saying that I have deadlines, I have deliverables, I have timeline to get back to, and how do I prioritize things? Do I prioritize my work, or do I prioritize, adding a case story or use cases into the repository? So there are times when we actually brought in something like gamification. We had events wherein we said, okay, if someone posts something onto the platform, or if someone responds on the discussion thread that we created, if someone replies to a discussion, you get added points. End of month, people with so and so points would get something from the leadership and things like that. So we always, and there's something that I found over the year. You always need to find cheese for them to come after, right? It's not really easy to convince people to say that, okay, this is why I need KM system for. And the other thing is, a lot of time people find KM solutions or platforms like, it's a Pandora's box that they expect out of it. They have questions, they come on to search for something. They are unhappy if they don't find solutions, but at the same time, they are also unhappy when you ask them to contribute, right? So they don't realize it's a win-win situation for both. Now, right now with Gensler, I was actually surprised when I joined Gensler because, like some of you said, some of you thinking probably that it's quite different from a consulting firm, IT firm. It's quite Gensler has been around for like 60 years. It's a US-based architecture design firm, and KM as a function is fairly new there. And when I say new, like Accenture, TCS, or Infosys, Wipro, they have been doing knowledge management for quite a long time, right? Gensler, I believe, has probably started scratching the surface of KM, might be less than 10 years back. And it's still a long way to go in terms of what we do with our systems, how we evolve. And even today, in all these 4+ years, I've been part of discussions where we talk about taxonomy, how keywords are important, or talk about knowledge management systems to people who join new. Why do we need to talk about, your projects? Why is it important? I often keep telling them the idea of reinventing the wheel. Why do we have to avoid that? Go back to the basics of knowledge management when we talk about you save time, you basically get back to your clients faster, you basically win more, those kind of things, which we basically talk about in introducing KM to someone as a concept, right? So in Gensler right now, we have tools and platforms which, hard to say, but they are outdated in terms of how they look from a UI point of view. But they also do a fairly better job from some of the other tools or other companies that I know of, right? Where I come from an era, quite traditional KM system, wherein I have to reach out to project teams every month, telling them how many wins do you have, how many projects have you won in this time frame, and how many of these do you think can be stored and shared onto the repository. And then we work with the KM in sharing them with a larger audience. You do campaigns, you have workshops and everything, to a space where the moment they create their job numbers to build their time and everything, a profile is automatically created, which talks about the project, right? It talks about who is working on the project. It talks about the job, the project location. It talks about what metrics are involved. And a company like Gensler, a design architecture firm, every small metrics are important because it talks about how much of area did you serve, what is the sustainability count for you, how much energy do you save, consumption do you save. So a lot of numbers that we basically work with, right? So the moment, like I said, a job number is created, all these things are automatically created. There's a space where there's a profile that's created, people can access. They do a search, they get related results from across multiple categories, whether it's about people, whether it's about profile, projects, whether it's about documents, pages, so anything and everything related comes up in the search. So it's a big change for someone like me who has been a hardcore traditional KM person, where we literally go ahead and ask for things. So it's one step change where things are already there, but then the problem statement of still going behind people and asking them to confirm what we have is good enough, confirm what next, confirm if this is only that it is, or is there anything more that we can add? I think that's something that's always going to be there. And I believe that's why it's important, like, one of the earlier panelists said that being persistent is important when it comes to knowledge management. There is no point where you can drop your pen and say, we have reached a stage where everything is self-sustained, everything is, on autopilot mode, we can just keep quiet and be silent. And I don't think any KM system as of now is at a stage where we can say any of these things, right? And that's why I think it's important also for a KM practitioner to be, always on toes in terms of what next, how can we evolve, how can we attract people to be, a part of your larger group. Something fairly simple that we in fact used to do in one of my previous organizations is that because a lot of salespeople would use the case studies and the success stories, we came up with something called, everyone knows that, but we basically introduced this concept of infographics into knowledge management. So instead of having to read through one page full of documents which talks about a project, we would probably have 1/4 of a page which just the highlights of the project, infographics. And if someone is, so it's like cards, right? So a salesperson can basically view it on the phone, read about it. If they want more, they can just read more on the knowledge repository, which talks in detail, right? So I think for a KM person, being persistent is definitely the key. It's also important to be innovative and think of what can we do next to have a more robust, more well-utilized, well-oiled machinery of KM systems that we have. Wherever that people move to. Now, in fact, when I started my career, I remember among our circle, we used to have a joke that it's only 3 or 4 companies who would actually do knowledge management as a function, right? And from that point, we have changed a lot. There are a lot of companies that do KM. People have started accepting KM as something that is important for the group. And I think that is an exciting place to be for someone like me who has been doing KM for last, like I said, around 18 years now, right? So I think it's the same thing even for us as a KM practitioners to find that space among all these things, to be able to, be on our toes, to be able to find out what can we do next, to be able to see how can we offer the best next thing for the space that you are in. And also about, yes, I do understand GenAI is something that will help a lot of these things, whether it's NLPs or whether even if it is something like a chatbot, which probably can gather information from multiple tools and put it on one side. And there are times when I had asked myself, thought to myself, it will be great if I could have a bot that would help me do that, right? Even if it is a voice-based thing, the better, right? Now, I know it's easy, but then from a journey, from a knowledge management point of view of being information to insight, from a KM point of view, the first few steps are still human-driven, or even the last one where we do analysis of what we have, right? It's only the middle part where, you gather these things and convert that into knowledge and assets is where we can use AI or machine learning, which would help a lot of us, a lot of the firms in what we do. I think that's all I had. That's all I have from my experience. So again, thank you, Madan, and thank you all for your time.
Fantastic. Let's come back again with the questions afterwards. Now, I think Shubhankar is with us. Shubhankar, are you online? Shubhankar Ghosh is the knowledge manager at Boeing. I guess maybe he's not here, but in that case, let's go to Ved. Ved is the Chief Knowledge Officer of the brand. He's been a long-standing supporter and a catalyst for our community over here. So Ved, let's have some insights from you on some updates on your KM journey and maybe some of your reactions to the conversations over here. Ved, over to you.
Sure, thanks, Madan. So it has been really interesting listening to Nivedita, Abhishek, Sumbul, and Sri. And what we realize is that while the field of KM keeps moving forward, at the same time, we have to keep coming back to the basics to make sure that the mind share of knowledge management is there, the key stakeholders in any organization. Right. By the way, Sri, since you are working with an architectural design firm, there is a company called Arup,
Right.
maybe one of your competitors who have been Make Award winners for many, many years in the past. So I have seen their case studies being presented on knowledge management. You might want to look it up on the internet or reach out to them. So you'll get plenty of tips around how they have made it happen.
Got it. Sure.
Right.
Yeah, thanks, Vivek.
Right. So we have been talking of, these new constructs. AI has come into the knowledge management realm as well in a big way, especially over the last couple of years. So I am the Chief Knowledge Officer at Triance, which is a digital transformation consulting firm. So it has around 2,200 odd employees, and it works at the cutting edge of technology. Now, over the last couple of years, Triance has also gravitated from providing transformation services, the consulting as well as the implementation aspect of it, to IP-led platform services. So Triance has created a few leading platforms. One is called Concerto, another called Extrica, a third is called Pulse, which have actually been adopted by the likes of AWS. So they actually pay money to Triance to host them on their marketplace. Right. So there is a services part, there's a consulting part, the transformation services part, the technology implementation, and then there is the platform services. So these are like SaaS platforms. So there is a services come product engineering flavor that has come into the organization. And the role of KM is slightly different in both of them. While again, the basics remain the same. You're still talking of capturing tacit knowledge. You're still talking of making sure that explicit knowledge is organized and reachable to the end consumer. But at the same time, there are other things that are coming to the fore. So one of the things we are seeing is the adoption of AI in the software development lifecycle, whether it is for the product development part or whether it is the client implementations that are happening. So what started as pilots is now beginning to show a lot more fruits. So let me share a few figures which have been anecdotally collected from different programs and engineering teams that are working on it. So if you look at a typical software development lifecycle, you go from requirements to design to coding to testing to deployment and then maintenance. So within Triance, the data that has been collected, and these are a host of AI tools that are being used. So it's not just GenAI alone, but AI powered tools. So obviously GenAI is there in some components. So in requirements, if we look at the measurable productivity improvements that have happened, something like 15 to 20% is already being seen. In design, it's 20 to 25%. In coding, it is something like 30 to 35%. In testing, it goes up to 40%. And in deployment related activities in this life cycle, it's something like 20%. Right. So can't be quoted on those numbers in terms of they are not cast in stone. But there are different aspects of each of these phases where tools have been deployed and the productivity improvements have been seen. Now, very interestingly, there is a report from Zenov that has come out earlier this week, which talks of the AI adoption and the productivity improvements in SDLC. So it's very coincidental that I'm talking about it from a Triance perspective. And Zenov has done a survey across multiple industries across the globe. And they also have come up with figures like 30 to 40% productivity improvement is already being seen. So maybe Triance is a bit conservative in capturing those numbers. But as of today, they're seeing that kind of an improvement happening, approximately the same level of improvements and adoption of AI tools across each phase. Right. But what is also interesting is that the expectation of the software developers, those who are actually part of carrying out those tasks, they expect this to go up to mind-boggling 85 to 95% in the next 2 years. What that means is that AI will play an absolutely integral role in development of any application. And while, today earlier in the news feed, there was one scoop that came up in the news feed, not confirmed, but there has been an AWS internal meeting where they are literally seeing that developers will no longer be required in the numbers that are there today. We have been seeing that, but they have been discussing internally. because these tools are so powerful and they're getting fine-tuned even as we speak. So there were earlier concerns around how accurate they are, blah, blah, blah. Yes, they are co-pilots for our day-to-day work, which they continue to remain. And that will continue to happen. The human element will still be needed. But at the same time, the confidence levels are going up. The concerns on data security, privacy, all those are getting addressed increasingly. And it's also a mindset change that is happening in the CTO organization. So it will be very interesting times. Knowledge management plays a big role in it, because when you talk of all these AI powered tools, right, you're also talking of a base knowledge base contextual to the particular program that is being used, or the local LLMs that are getting created, right? So that is where knowledge management steps in. Knowledge management is also stepping in and is in democratizing those tools, because literally every week, many of them come up for each phase of the software development life cycle, each being better than the previous one. So KM is the one that can evangelize those tools internally in the organizations for many different kind of use cases, right? So we will continue to remain relevant as practitioners. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But we should keep our eyes and ears open to what's happening in the broader ecosystem, what some of the larger corporates are toying with, etc., and see how you can introduce it internally within your organizations. So those are my 2 bits on the emerging scenario in KM. Back to you,
Fantastic.
Madan.
Thanks, Ved. Always great to hear from Ved. For those of you who don't know, he was earlier the KM head at Rojika, CNG, and Wipro, and also the alumnus of IIM Bangalore. Very well placed to see 20, 30 years of evolution of this whole KM industry. Let's turn on to some of our other attendees over here now. Let me ask Nivedita, not Nivedita, Deepa Joseph from Indigi to share some of your reactions. Maybe not
all right.
In that case study. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we have, let me just introduce, Deepa Joseph is the knowledge manager at Indigi, earlier at EY, IBM, Trans, and Magna Infotech.
Right. So I've joined this organization maybe around 4 months ago. And in comparison to my other organization like IBM and EY, where you met a larger organization, this organization I chose for a purpose, because I kind of did an analysis. I've been working in larger organizations, so the KM system is all pretty much matured in these organizations, and sometimes you think about what more can you do for your stakeholders. And that's one reason I thought, okay, let me look out, moved into Indigi. And this particular organization, when I had my first interview, the first thing I asked was the maturity of the KM. And what I understood is it's just 18 months old in the system, but Indigi is been 25 years old. It's a 25-year-old company. So that itself gave me kind of a quick analysis that probably it's at a very nascent stage, and probably my skills that I have earned, my experience that I have through these 18, 20 years of experience, KM and in technical writing, probably I can come there and be a key differentiator and bring greater impacts and outcomes in Indigi. So again, as I said, it's a nascent, it's at a nascent level, the KM system. And I see there is a lot of process improvements that can be done, starting from the basics of strategy setting. Right now, what I feel is they are going according to a normal KM strategy. I still feel there is a lot of opportunity for us to align with what the business strategy is, understand the priority areas, and focus our efforts towards that to bring in a lot more better outcomes and business value, and at the same time drive value for ourselves as well. It's not about always proving the question, are you doing anything? So larger organization, of course, has really understood the value of the KM function, but it becomes tough in such smaller organizations and nascent KM function to always keep proving our value. So it's I see a great opportunity in my current organization that I can improve the processes, build a culture of adopting and understanding the value of knowledge, not only at the staff level, but I see an opportunity even to talk with the leadership team. As I hope it is not something that just for compliance they brought us there, but it is about driving that value. So we definitely need to be very agile in nature and also pretty aggressive, because every day there is a status meeting with our leadership and we need to keep providing an update on what has been the progress, and they like to see quantifiable numbers. And again, the question is on ROI, which is very difficult to measure, or the factors, both from a quality perspective and quantity perspective, quantifying the benefits. It's always a challenge for KMs, unless and until we get feedback from our stakeholders by ways of running surveys and seeing how much time they are saving, which again is a cultural, I do see a challenge over there where people are not willing, or rather they do not have the time to provide answers through a survey. So probably it's again, we need a lot of sponsorship from our leadership team. So that is what we are trying to do now, to strengthen our leadership, to talk about KM values and how with their support we can drive from the top to bottom. Because sometimes I do hear that, why don't you drive from bottom to top? Because we are very busy. But in such nascent stages, we need the leadership to tell the employees at the staff level that it's important to share knowledge, and the knowledge is your asset. At the same time, it's also the organization's asset. And the more you share, you are the ones who are going to benefit at a later stage, probably not now, but there is a time that you would all be using it. And so the opportunity I see is, from a process perspective, I see it is probably at a 10 or 20% maturity when I compare it with IBM or EY. So I see a lot of growth opportunity for myself. And I feel I can implement all my skills and experience over there to bring it to 100%, or at least to 80% over the next 2-3 years down the line. Yeah, so.
Very nice. That is spoken with an entrepreneurial mindset, which is, yes, there's a problem, but it's an opportunity to grow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. That's fantastic. Yeah. So we just about 10 minutes left. I'm going to ask our host from State and Karnataka to conversation to say a few words in closing. But I've been taking lots of notes about what everyone has said. I'll share some of these afterwards in my summary. 2 quick announcements. So we have our next KM community meetup on Wednesday, October 16th, which also is part of Global Knowledge Week. This is a week of KM activities organized by the Knowledge Management Global Network. So all these links have been mentioned in the LinkedIn post of mine. So this is an organization of about, how many countries now, Wade? 25, 26 countries, KM professionals?
Yeah, 30 countries.
30 countries now, wow, so it keeps increasing. So 30 countries have KM associations who are a part of the KM Global Network, and we have a big event is happening, I think, for the 2nd or 3rd time. Last year also we had a meetup of the Bangalore K-Community. We're going to do a similar meetup, somewhat like today's one, also on October 16th, along with a lot of international participants as well. So that will also be very interesting. The other one is there's also this big annual conference called the Global Knowledge Summit. It used to be organized by CII for the last 17 years or so. Now it's going to be handed over to a group of us, hopefully anchored by the NSN Institute of Management. We have a professor called Molly Chaudhary based in Bangalore, and she is going to be part of our community to take this event ahead, along with Wade, myself, and a whole bunch of other people, including Deyu, Ritu, and Arun, and everyone else on this call. So I'll share this again in the email with all of you. So 2 important events: the Bangalore K-Community meetup on October 16th, the Global Knowledge Summit sometime maybe November or December this year, or maybe earlier next year. we're going to organize this particular summit. But currently, those of us over here are in the office of Karnataka Digital Economy Mission. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the nerve center of taking this whole digital knowledge economy, not just in Bangalore, but across the state. So we have someone's going to join us shortly over there. His name is Suvin Narayan. He had something called the Beyond Bangalore initiative, which is how to take this whole tech knowledge economy, not just in Bangalore, but to all other parts of the state as well. He was earlier with CIA and AstroCham. Yeah, please come have a seat. You can sit anywhere and speak. Maybe near the mic over there. Oh, there's also fine. Yeah, there's a mic here. So Suvin is here on my right. I think you guys can see him over here. That's Suvin here. Yeah. So Suvin, tell us a bit about Bangalore, Beyond Bangalore and all that stuff.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I hope you had fruitful engagement today with Madan. So he's known for the mixers such as we've been seeing him from past almost a year now.
Yes,
yeah. So just to give a background about Beyond Bangalore, which is an initiative in short to create more Bangalore's outside Karnataka. So with this keeping in mind, so the initiative started about 3-4 years back, and as a phase 1 activity, we have operationalized 3 cities in Karnataka, which are of Mysore, Mangalore, Hubli, Dharwad, and Belgaum. So when we define cluster, so the cluster consists of nearby districts in and around Mysore or Mangalore, Hubli, Dharwad. So this is a phase 1 of activity we have started, and we have advocated about 47 plus companies they have started, which is amounting to employment of 3,000 plus employment in the state in the past 36 months. That's the progress that we had. The bottom line of Beyond Bangalore initiative is to promote other cities apart from Bangalore, where one of the strategies that we use for Beyond Bangalore is Bangalore or any metropolitan becomes a base where an existing company has. So the spoke becomes the cities that we promote in our state, where they can set up their expanded office, offshore or R&D, any back offices to run. The bottom line of this initiative, which gives an impact for an organization starting from 25 to 30% of P&L as a bottom line, with the support of considerable government incentives, which starts from your rental incentives for a year, PF and ESIC reimbursement, the employees of 50 up to 50 for 2 years. And if you are incubated at one of the TBIs or incubation centers run by the government of Karnataka, you get the reimbursement per seat, and the consumption of electricity is under the commercial tariff rather than the industrial tariff. Henceforth, I mean, there are many other incentives that are there, including the organization that holds patents, so domestic or international patents. So the reimbursement of 2 lakhs and for the domestic, and for international is up to 10 lakhs. These are the kind of incentives that has been provided. So I can help you with some of the documents that helps you to understand how government is coming forward to support you to establish your offices in these cities, which we are promoting in Karnataka. And we look forward to welcoming you to our ecosystem, where we work with various set of partners, and Madan is one of our key partners who interact with the startups and connects with various set of ecosystem partners, as well as the startups that are based out of our clusters. This is in short to give you a brief about KDEM and Beyond Bangalore initiative.
Fantastic. Thanks, Suvin. Once again, all those of you who have any talent needs outside of Bangalore, or you want to set up shop in different parts of Bangalore, or you want to find out how to build knowledge clusters in different parts of the state, Suvin is the person. I'll connect you to them all by online. Yeah. Sure. So we got about totally we had about 20 people online and about 16 people over here. So 35 people straight in this industry. Thank you, Suvin. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much. Look forward to interacting with you in future.
Yes.
Also, if you are I'll just take a minute. We have our annual programs, which is a precursor to a Bangalore Tech Summit. We are organizing the next week. We have it in Hubli, which is called Acceleration. In the following month, we have our conference in Mysore, which is called Big Tech Show. And in October, we have the Technovanza, which is in Mangalore. It would be nice to have you all interact with the local ecosystem, partners, startups, and academics or the industry leaders. So probably I'll drop a detailed note and the program details with you all.
Great, thanks. In fact, I forgot to mention these other events also. You mentioned the Bangalore Tech Summit. This used to be BTIT. It's combined into one giant event called BTS, November 19 to 21. We also have the Thai Global Summit, December 9 to 12, also in Bangalore. And we hope to have the Global Knowledge Summit as another big knowledge economy event here in Bangalore or virtually across the world. So once again, thank you all for joining us here today. Those of you in the room, we have tea, coffee, and some very good snacks and networking outside. For those of you online, you don't have to deal with Bangalore traffic, so you're also very lucky in a sense. So thank you all for joining. I wish we had more time to do some more networking across everyone over here, but thanks to all our fantastic panelists to share their stories about what they did, and thanks to our founders for showing the other aspect of Bangalore's knowledge economy, the young bubbling startups in the knowledge economy. So we'll connect everyone after this call is over, and I'll see you all again in 2 months, October 16th, in this room or somewhere else. But again, a hybrid event, India International for the Global Knowledge Week. Thanks, everyone. Have a fantastic
Thank you
week.
so much, Madan. Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Madan. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We take a group picture outside. Yeah, come on. Let's take a group photo outside. And we have some key snacks as well. Thanks, so much. Thanks. If you have more time, I will ask you to present. Yeah, after Alexei also. And we will do something. That's okay. Next time you should pitch. Yes. Thanks. Paras made some good comments about you. Oh, yeah. Talk to me. Thanks. Very good presentation. Can we connect over later? Yeah, sure. Sure. Okay. Well, I already posted on. Hey,
Madan, can you connect on LinkedIn?
Yeah, sure. We can.
Or is that one?
Yeah, Madan Mohan Rao. Madan Mohan is one word, space Rao. And it's one important face coming. Yeah, that's me. Yes, correct, please. Yeah.
This was nice. Thanks.
Yeah, hey, thanks. Next time,
I'll off ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಯಾರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಫ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಹಾರಾಷ್ಟ್ರ ಯಾವತ್ತೂ ಬಾನ ಬಾಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅವ್ರು ಕಾಫಿ ಕುಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಕೂತ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ ಇದ್ರೆ ಟಿವಿ ನಾವು ಟಿವಿ ರಿಮೋಟ್ ಇದೆ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ ನಾನು
Thank you for watching. How do you guys work?
So this is a more of a roundtable discussion, but we do keep having like mixers with 30 to 40 people engaging. You can actually follow us on our Instagram.
I know.
Oh, okay. LinkedIn. So basically, why I said Instagram is because it's much more clearer like what we do. So this was the one start to event which happened. This is a German accelerator event.
Okay.
So basically, few speakers from German accelerator they wanted to invest in Indian startups.
Okay.
So that time we gathered Indian startups who were interested to expand their business abroad.
Okay.
And these guys, so they got into this event. So this was one of the events.
It happened here?
Yeah, down event room. This was a bigger event, so there were like 50 participants.
Okay.
So other than that, yeah, I mean, we keep having mixers on different teams. This was DEEPTECH. The last time we had put on hold from India, we put on a mixer.
Okay.
So yeah, people were talking about like all from I think 2020.